What's up, guys? My name's Angus. I'm currently ranked 25 on Pocket in North America. I'm here to teach you how to become a Pocket God using my Burst Spirit build. Let's get to it. Now let's talk about what Pocket is and how to actually play him within a team. And since this is my tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to play him my way. Pocket is a highly mobile champ that can get around and rotate between the map very easily and quickly. On top of that, he has some of the best burst in the game. So typically when I'm playing Pocket, I'm building for Spirit, and what I'm trying to do is burst either their carries, whoever's hard carrying, or maybe whoever doesn't have any Spirit resist built. That's a mistake if you're playing against Pocket. Or I'm trying to do as much damage as I can to their entire team, because a lot of Pocket's kit, all of Pocket's kit, are AoE abilities. So because they're all AoE abilities, if you see that your opponents are in a big group, this is prime time for Pocket to jump in and run through your combo of Affliction and the Cloak and the Satchel, and then getting out of there while doing crazy amounts of damage. So your typical game plan when you're playing Pocket is you want to get in, do your burst, get out, and kind of stalk the opponents or just completely escape, depending on the game state at that point. Get in, do your damage, as much damage as possible, and then get out as fast as possible. You don't really want to stay in the fight and do more sustained damage, because Pocket's very squishy and they will blow you up in a heartbeat because everybody hates Pocket. Alright, so before you can become a Pocket God, you have to know what his abilities do. First we have Barrage, Cloak,
this to work.
Satchel, and Affliction here.
The inevitable comes for us all.
Okay. So, Barrage is going to let you amp your damage for every time you hit it. There you go. So you see right there in the left side of the screen, Barrage damage amp is 4. Each Barrage hit, you're going to amp your damage by 6%. And then when you completely max this out, you'll have an increased 4% amp damage, giving 10% amp per stack. So at level 5, at the max level, you'll have 40% damage amp on all of Pocket's abilities and weapon damage. The next one is Cloak. Cloaks can be part of your bread and butter burst combo. It does some damage when it hits a target, and you TP to it whenever you reactivate it. And you can do cool stuff like that, where you can teleport right into somebody, set yourself up for a heavy melee. That's very hard to parry because it comes out so fast. Your third ability is going to be Satchel, which is your outplay ability that you can use to bait ults, bait big damage moves, bait CC, all that fun stuff. When you come out of it, you're going to do some damage. And finally, again, your Cloak, your ultimate Affliction, it is going to do a % damage based on their current health and apply damage over time. The other big thing about the ult is that it will suppress target's healing by 50% once you have 2 ability points invested into it. So for Pocket, all of his abilities work in tandem with each other. You have to know how they work together and how to use them together in order to make the most of your Pocket's abilities. And so typically what this looks like is you're going to be engaging on them with Barrage at some point, like that, poking into them, into a Satchel, right? Once you have ult, that's going to be Barrage, just like that. So what I'm doing here is you're going to Barrage to amp your damage. You typically only need 2. The more you can get, the better. And then once you Barrage, you're going to lead with your ultimate Cloak in a direction to where it's safe, while using your Satchel to avoid any big damage and CC, and you finish off the combo. Another thing to point out about Satchel, while you're in it, you can actually use items, and it's going to pop you out of the Satchel while using those items. So what you want to do is Satchel, and then use Cool Front to bust yourself out. typically speaking. If Cold Front's on cooldown,
Without
use
this
Satchel
skills,
and shoot. And see right there, you have 72 damage from my gun. That's just going to add that much more damage to your burst. Now, usually when I'm in lane, I like to play relatively passive until I have these 4 items, being Sword of Shot, Hollow Point Ward, Enduring Spirit, and Cold Front. Once I have these items, my burst is finally online, and I can start blowing people up. Okay. Part of the reason I wait is because we have this, we're getting the weapon damage from this to be able to have some sustained damage in lane, but then what we really want is this Cold Front ability. This is going to do 100 damage in lane, in addition to
I make my own luck.
your 188 damage from Flying Cloak and your 110 damage from Satchel, plus whatever is boosted from your Barrage. On top of that, you should be getting Affliction right roughly about the same time. You see him 2750 for this build currently. Your next big power spike is going to come whenever you get Leap. So Leap is a really great ability for Pocket because, really good item for Pocket, because it allows you to get on your enemies without using up any of your stamina or having to use your cloak. So what you want to do when you have Leap is you want to be using Majestic Leap to jump in. Barrage. Activate Leap again to come down.
Teleporting.
Cloak towards your enemies. Satchel them with Cold Front, and then get out. And so, if we're going fast, it'll look something. Oh, and Affliction whenever you can. So if we're going fast, like in a real game, it would look something like this.
Letting out spirits. If not last.
Then you're out. This is going to be your basic bread and butter combo that you're going to do the majority of the time. Now keep in mind, whenever you're doing this, one of the most important abilities for you to be using and to be mindful of is your cloak. So 9 times out of 10, I would, especially if you're learning how to play Pocket, throw your cloak, get behind your enemy, get behind your opponent, and throw your cloak in a direction toward your escape.
I can get around them.
Right? So I've done my damage, and now I'm up here, and he can't touch me. Pocket's very squishy, especially with this build. He's very, very, very squishy. And so a lot of your tankiness, quote unquote, comes from being able to outmaneuver your opponent and just not getting hit. So again, if you're new to this build, and even if you're a veteran to Pocket, what you want to do 9 times out of 10 is throw your cloak in the direction of
Pays to plan ahead.
an escape route. Okay. So regardless if you're a new Pocket player or a veteran Pocket player, 9 times out of 10 I always recommend for you to be throwing your cloak toward an escape route. Okay? And when you're doing this, you want to make sure that you give it some height, because if you don't, it's going to get caught on stuff like this. Pocket's cloak gets caught on a lot of ledges like this, and they're not very consistent between ledges and whatnot. So you see a guy caught right there. It'll get caught right here, but then it won't get caught in places like this. Oh, well, okay. So you have to throw it at a specific angle. Okay, right there, so it goes up. So what you really want to do is you want to be shooting this guy and try to angle your cloak in a way that's still going to hit them, but also not get caught on all the crazy stuff. And one final piece of information for your combo. When you are in your satchel and you TP to your cloak, you will explode wherever you TP to. So you don't have to time anything. You just literally throw your cloak out on the satchel, and you blow up right here after you teleport to it. Another cool thing about Pocket is you can actually parry out of satchel. So to do this, all you're gonna do is while you're in satchel, you're gonna pop out with spacebar, or you can shoot out.
No.
And you're gonna smash your parry button as soon as you do that. And while it's not, I don't believe it's frame perfect, but it'll be pretty quick that your parry comes out as soon as you end the satchel. And you can use that because a lot of people in lower elos are going to try to punch you while you're in your satchel to try to maximize their damage. Well, you can use this against them by using your just pressing the parry button. Another big power spike is whenever you have Diviner's Kevlar. So not only will this give you shields and a lot more spirit power, but it's also going to increase your ability duration. And so this is important for your cloak, because once you have Kevlar, you can cloak, and then ethereal shift right after, and then teleport to your cloak after that ethereal shift is over. So I'll show it right here. So we cloak, ethereal shift. You see the bars right there. You have a little bit longer on your cloak than you do on ethereal shift, which allows you to teleport right after to safety. And so a lot of people won't see this coming, and it'll give you a free escape if, you know, other stuff is down, like Majestic Leap or your Warp Stone. Finally, let's talk about our ult. So your ultimate at level 1, you have to pretty much be in this guy's bubble to hit it. I highly recommend buying things like Mystic Reach and then improving it later on. Once you do that, that'll be about the time that you have your ultimate max, and it's going to add a plus 5 meter radius. And once that happens, once you have improved reach and once you have that max ultimate, it's going to become a massive ult. So you see I can hit him from way over here. And the way the pocket ult works is that it's a sphere. It's a sphere where you are the center, and around you it's going to hit everything. So you can do stuff like Majestic Leap up,
No more games.
and hit a whole team of enemies while you're flying around them.
They can't last forever.
So see, I hit him even though it wasn't even close. And by using Majestic Leap in that way, you are going to be racking up so much damage on the enemy team. You're going to be applying so much healing reduction on the enemy team that you can hard carry fights by just getting a good affliction off with your
Life will dwindle away.
with your combo. So Pocket is a high skill champion. He has a lot of tools in his kit to allow you to outplay your opponents. And so much of what you're going to be doing is exactly this. It's important to become very familiar with his entire kit because they all work in tandem, right? So his first ability, Barrage, is going to allow you to ramp up your damage, amplify your damage of the remaining skills that you have. His second ult, Cloak, is going to be your main ability to maneuver and create movement plays when you're dueling someone else. It's also extremely important to use to rotate between lanes and for escaping bad situations. Satchel is going to be another one of your main damage abilities along with Cloak. And Satchel is amazing for dodging just about any ability in the game. While you're in Satchel, you take essentially no damage, you can't be CC'd, nothing can happen to you, you are safe. And when you pop out of Satchel, you will do some burst damage in an AoE around you. Another addition to Satchel is most items are usable in Satchel. So for example, if I have Warp Stone and I am in Satchel, I can activate Warp Stone to blink as that Satchel is exploding, right? And so finally you have Affliction. And so Affliction is going to be your start whenever you are initiating onto someone. It's the first skill that you use. Reason being is that it does % damage based on their current health. Not their max health, their current health. And so you'll get a lot more use out of this before you do your burst combo because they'll be at a higher HP percentage versus if you do it after when they'll have a lower HP percentage. On top of that, Affliction is also going to lower their healing, and it's going to apply a dot, damage over time. It's very small, but it adds up in the early game and mid game. So for a lot of engages in that early game and mid game time period, I'll hop in, afflict, do my burst combo, then use my cloak, teleport back toward my tower, or back toward my base, or toward my escape route, whatever the case may be. And once I'm out, I'll let my cooldowns kind of come off a little bit, and I'll hop on a zip line, or I'll do something some kind of way to try to re-engage. And I do this because while I'm sitting around waiting for my cooldowns to come back up, that dot is ticking them down. And if I jump on them, chances are I'm probably going to kill them because they're probably either half health or a quarter health, a third health, something like that, enough to put them in kill range. So now that you know how our abilities work, you need to figure out how to make them work together. You want to try to be stacking barrage as much as you can to start the fight. The fact that it maintains your momentum helps with this a lot. So a lot of the time when I'm trying to engage, I'm either using Majestic Leap, or I'm jumping off of Zipline, or I'm doing a wall bounce off of a wall, and then using Barrage to slow down my enemy, ramp up my damage, and maintain my momentum to get on them. Because this pocket, what you want to do is you want to get on your opponent without using your stamina whenever possible, because you want to save your stamina for outplays and to maneuver when you're in the actual fight. Now, after you've used Barrage and you've landed on your opponent, you want to start off with your ultimate, again, because it does percent damage based on their current health. You want to use it before you use your burst. Now, once you use your ultimate, you want to point yourself in the direction of either your escape route or toward your team or toward your tower, whatever way is safe, and use your cloak, right? And so your cloak's going to fly through your opponent, and it's going to be heading toward a spot where you can teleport to and be safe after you use your next skill, which is going to be Satchel. So you've done your cloak damage, you've done your ult damage, so now you're going to use Satchel to outplay. So you can either hold it for a couple seconds for the enemy's big damage, or maybe their ult. So if you're going against the Wraith, for example, you would hold your Satchel for her ult, typically. If she doesn't use your ult, then cool, whatever. All you do is cloak away. Now, once you're in Satchel, again, you can use abilities, safely from inside. Typically, what you'll use is you'll have Cold Front on pocket, and so after you throw your cloak, you'll Satchel at some point, and while you're in Satchel, you'll hit Cold Front, and you'll activate Cold Front. And so what that's going to do is, whenever you pop out of Satchel, you're going to do a ton of damage because they're taking damage from both your Satchel Burst and from your Cold Front. Now, once you do that, you'll have to make a decision there. If you think that you've done enough damage to where you can stay in and finish your opponent, then you stay in, you don't cloak away, and you finish them off. If you feel like you have not done enough damage to where you can safely finish them off, then you just teleport to your cloak, which you threw, into a safe spot. That's your escape route. And this whole process becomes more complicated with the more actives and items that you buy, and when you're thinking about what kind of actives and items and skills that your opponents have as well. And we'll talk about all of that here in a second, and I'll give you guys some examples. Now let's talk about Pocket's build. So because Deadlock is in an alpha state at the moment, patches come pretty frequently, and what you're going to be building is probably going to change over time. To keep this video as effective as possible, I'm really just going to talk about the core things that you want on Pocket. If you want an actual build, I will create one and I'll post it in the description, and I'll keep that one updated for if you're looking at this video later on. You can always go to that by going to browse builds in the shop. So with Pocket, really what you want to be doing is building as much spirit as you can. The more spirit that you have, the more burst you have. The more burst you have, the more kills you get, the more fun you have. We're not trying to build Pocket in a way that we have sustained damage, like from gun, or we're not trying to build them tanky, because again, you don't want to stay in fights, you want to be in and out as fast as possible. So burst build is the way to go. Because all of our damage is front loaded, meaning that we do all of our damage at once. We don't have any sustained damage, right? So stuff like lifesteal is not going to be as effective for us as someone like Haze, who can sustain through a fight because she's doing sustained damage. Because of this, we don't really want to build too much spirit lifesteal. We want to be pretty much all damage and all items that allow us to move and outplay opponents. So items that allow you to outplay your opponent include stuff like Warpstone, Majestic Leap, and Ethereal Shift. As Pocket, you're going to have to juggle a lot of abilities because you typically want all of your actives stacked up. So you'll usually have those 3 in addition to Cold Front, which is going to help with your burst potential. Your core items on Pocket are going to consist of things like Kinetic Dash, Mystic Shot, Majestic Leap, Cold Front, Warp Stone. These are all super core items that I literally build every single game. Your big item is going to be Diviner's Kevlar, because when you ult, it's going to give you a massive shield. It's going to help increase the duration of your cloak. It's going to do a lot of really good things for you. However, I'm typically waiting to buy this until I have my active items so I can use to make plays around the map. So we've kind of talked about the items that you want to build for damage. Really, that's what you want to prioritize is your damage. Let's talk about how to build Pocket defensively. And when I say this, I don't mean that we're going to actually build him defensively, but he's very squishy, and all of our damage and burst, it's all front-loaded, right? Our interactions are quick with our opponents, and then we're out. Because of this, you really don't want to build that much armor. I'm usually not getting armor until late in the game, like very late in the game. Most of the time, all my defenses are going to be built on barriers. And that's about the extent to how much you want to build defensively in Pocket. And even when I'm taking armor late game, it's usually only one or the other, either bullet resist or spirit resist, depending on their comp and depending on who's carrying at the time. Now that you know what Pocket does, how we should be playing him, how we should be building him, we get to the fun part, which is how to control team fights and make the biggest impact on Pocket. As stated previously, we want to jump in, do our burst, and get out in team fights. The more people that you can hit, the better. But sometimes you'll have 1 or 2 people that are the main carries of the enemy team, and you'll want to burst down and get those guys in the fight if possible. Now the important part is to do this while trying to stay as safe as you can, because if you can live during these team fights, then that's just an extra boon for your team. And I'll show a couple clips here to detail exactly what I mean. So for this first clip, I am doing exactly what I mentioned earlier. I'm going to Majestic Leap up into the air. As I'm coming down, I'm going to start stacking those barrages and using that momentum that barrage lets me maintain to position myself closer to the enemy team. While I'm doing that, I'm looking to Warp Stone for a better position to hit more people with my ult. Again, Warp Stone's a core item. You want to be buying it pretty much every game on Pocket because of situations like this. Let you reposition for massive ults, massive damage potential. Once I'm in position, I am gonna hit 4 people with that ult, and it just completely annihilates them. After that, I'm turning really quickly to look back toward my team so I can throw my cloak that way. I'm not really too worried about how many people it's hitting because I already know that I have put on a ton of damage to them at this point. And as my cloak is flying toward my team, I'm just getting the rest of my burst out. And you can see I cause them to get so low that, they all just literally run away because I have completely just blown them up. Situations like this are the most ideal kind of team fight for Pocket. However, it's not always that easy. So this clip is essentially the same thing, but I'm doing a few extra things. Here I was trying to Majestic Leap and Barrage into their team, but if you see real quick, I didn't quite touch the ground before I used Majestic Leap, so I didn't get my dash off, which I was trying to dash and barrage into them, but that didn't happen. One thing I am doing though is I'm using Knockdown to make sure that Grey Talon does not move. I want him to stay in my ult range, and by doing that, by using Knockdown, I'm able to keep him in my ult range and afflict pretty much everybody right there. Now here, I know my team is following up on me, and I know I hit a big affliction, so I actually cloak forward instead. Usually, 90% of the time, I am cloaking toward my team, backwards away, somewhere to my escape route. But when you want to be aggressive, when you have a lead, you can definitely cloak forward to make sure that you stick on your target after they're trying to move away. Another important note to point out in this clip is I'm using that cloak to dodge the Grey Talon arrow. So you'll see I take basically no damage, and this is exactly how you want to play Pocket. I'm taking no damage. I'm super tanky because I'm not getting hit. I'm dodging all of their things with all of my movement abilities. And this is how you become Thanos on Pocket, by being untouchable. And when you teleport like that, your opponents are not going to expect it. So you can really make plays like you see me here, I'm throwing in a heavy melee. And this is a good point to talk about heavy melees real quick. When you're using Cloak, if you're planning on doing a heavy melee, try to time it to where you teleport as soon as your Cloak is on top of them. Because if there's less distance between you and your opponent, that heavy melee is going to go off that much quicker. They're not going to have time to react. They're not going to know where you are or what you're doing, and they're going to die before they realize what's happening. And that heavy melee helps me to secure that kill, literally in the middle of his team. On this next clip, I'm going to show you what happens when you have 3+ stacks in lane. If you have 3+ stacks in lane, you should be pressing that advantage because your damage is about to go through the roof and no one has any health at this point in the game. In this clip, I have the high ground on 7 and he lets me splash with my barrage to get my 3 stacks. I notice that he's about half to 2/3 health, and I immediately know that I can just jump in and burst him down because I'm pocket and I have a lot of burst potential. And so it's the same exact combo that I've been talking about this whole time. We're going to dash and Cloak toward our safe zone, Satchel, cold front. Done. So with this clip, I'm going to show you how to duel people. With Pocket, he can be a very, very good duelist. Again, because he can just 100-0 people. You also have a lot of items and abilities that'll let you outplay people. So as I'm going against this Yamato, I know I have to try to dodge 2 things. The Power Slash and his Crimson Slash, the one that heals him. If I can dodge these 2 things, I'm going to win this engagement. And I do just that. Most Yamatos are going to try to charge with their Power Slash as much as they can. I know this. I am ready for this. I am prepared for this. And so because I know this, I'm ready to Warp Zone away. Again, this is why Warp Zone is such a great item on Pocket. It allows you to outplay people just like this. And you can do the same thing with Cloak. If you have Cloak, you can teleport behind someone or teleport above someone or teleport, backwards even to dodge different abilities. And so again, the more that you can dodge abilities and just not take any damage at all while dealing tons of damage to your opponents, the more you'll be able to carry. And so for this final clip, we have another duel between myself and a Paradox. And in this clip, I want to showcase that, stalking kind of play style. So I jump in, do my burst, I do my thing, he swaps me, I ult him. Now that I know that I have him ulted, I just disengage. And I know that I have my zipline above me. I've already taken the Guardian in this lane. So I know that I can jump on that zipline and catch him as my cooldowns are coming back up. Now, once I'm able to re-engage on him, once I'm able to catch back up through the zipline, there's nothing he can do. He cannot win this fight. He's done for. This is a great example of starting an engagement, biding your time for your cooldowns to come back up and for Affliction to tick down their health, and then re-engaging whenever they're weak. And that's how you play Pocket my way. If you guys want more tutorials like this, if this helped you guys at all, please like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you guys want to see. Let me know what was helpful. Let me know what you guys are struggling with, and I can make videos, or you guys can DM me, add me on Discord, whatever you want to do. And I want to help you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you guys have a great day, and keep playing Pocket.